From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Brayden Neville.
On today's episode, we hear from new Ticats special teams coordinator Paul Boudreau as he discusses making his way to the Hammer. And I also speak with new Ticats defensive line coach Glen Young about his new role with the Cats. It's Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, and you're listening to Ticats Today. A couple new faces on today's episode, coaches Paul Boudreau and Glen Young. Before we get to that, we're going to get to some re-signing news for the Ticats, and the team announced they've re-signed Hamilton's very own Tyler Ternowski and another Canadian D lineman, Mason Bennett. Obviously, a couple fan favorites. Everyone loves Mason Bennett and Tyler Ternowski. They do a lot in the community, and they do a lot for this football team. So great to see those two back and re-signed, and they will be on tomorrow's episode. So make sure to tune into that to hear from Tyler Ternowski and Mason Bennett. For today's episode, I'm going to throw to my first guest, and that's new special teams coordinator Paul Boudreau. My first guest is newly announced Ticats special teams coordinator Paul Boudreau. Paul, thanks for joining me on today's show, and welcome to the Hammer.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Looking forward to new adventure.
How did the conversation start for you to come aboard here with the Ticats and join Hamilton and Scott Milanovich and his crew?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I was my dad recruited Jeff Reinbold in college.
Okay.
And he saw that Reinbold was leaving, so I ended up getting a hold of Legio, and I got O's number, and I started a little communication, and then that went to Scott, and Scott O and I had an interview for a couple hours, and just went from there.
Why did you feel as though Hamilton would be a good fit for you and for yourself and a place that you can see yourself for several years?
Yeah, so I was in Winnipeg for 8 years. I'm not somebody that's trying to jump all over the place. And so we would drive back. My family's in Boston and my wife's family's in Boston. So we would drive from Winnipeg, where I'm at now, back to Boston. That was a 3-day, 2,000-mile drive.
Yeah, that's a trip.
And so after I got hired, we were in Boston and we drove up to Hamilton. It's a 7-hour drive. So it's a nice little easy trip for the family to come up and visit us. And it's close to home. And they're only 2 years removed from two Grey Cups, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a successful franchise. I think what Scott and O are doing and what O has built throughout the years, I think it's it's going to be a great place. I'm really looking forward to the new move.
And you go from one Grey Cup winning head coach now to working with Scott Milanovich, another guy who's won a Grey Cup as a head coach. How important is it to have a guy alongside of you like that, and especially a guy with the experience in the CFL that Scott has?
Yeah, it's funny. Scott and I really didn't know each other until the Zoom meeting. So it'll be fun to meet new people, right? The only place I've known really was Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know anybody in Winnipeg when I got there. When I was at the Rams, I interviewed at Winnipeg and got the job. So it's it's a fun thing to be able to meet new people and share ideas and hopefully grow for years to come.
You were a part of some pretty successful groups in Winnipeg. It's been one of the most dominant franchises in the CFL for years. Why do you think you were able to have success with your group over that long span of time you spent in Winnipeg?
I think we built a good culture, all right? And I think the players were willing to listen. Watching the Hamilton film and playing against them, those guys seem to believe in special teams. I think that's important. So it's nice to go someplace where special teams is really 1/3 of the game, right? So I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I've just chatted with a couple guys here and there so far. I know free agency is rolling here, so we'll see what happens as things go by.
This fan base is very passionate, much like the one you came from in Winnipeg. But what have you seen from this fan base on the road playing against them, and what excites you about now being able to join the Hamilton Ticats and be on that side in Tim Hortons Field?
Yeah. So when I was in Winnipeg, we struggled there all the time, and the fans made it uncomfortable. And even at the Grey Cup when we played there, it was just raucous. It was an impressive deal to be around. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being in a situation where the fans really enjoy coming to the games. You can't say that about all the places in the CFL. So I'm really looking forward to being in front of those fans and hopefully doing some really good things in the East.
You touched on Legio, a guy you know from your time in Winnipeg, but what's that relationship like with him? And is it nice to have a kicker who you're very familiar with to lead that kick team?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I talked to Legs after I got hired, and we just, touched base, and it was hard for him in Winnipeg. The plan was Medlock, who was in Hamilton. I had him, and pretty sure Medi was going to play one more year, and we could kind of move Legs into the role slowly. And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And so Medi decided to leave, and Legs was kind of pounced right into a tough spot. And but I got all the respect for Legs, and I think it's going to be fun working with him again. He understands who I am as a person. I understand him. So we're just going to, go have fun.
People are probably tired of me saying this on this show, but best name a kicker's ever had, I think, in the CFL, Legio. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. I tell him that every time. He's probably sick of me saying it, but I'm going to stick to it. Another player that's super exciting that had his first year in the league on that special teams is Carthel Flowers Lloyd. At one point, looked like he was near or close to on pace to breaking the special teams tackles record. When you look at a guy like that, does that excite you, having a guy you can work with and a young player who's already been as successful as he's been able to be?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, you can't teach a nose for the ball. You either want it or you don't. And he's a guy that he just always kind of can sniff out the football. There was guys like that. Mike Miller is one example who now is coaching. But just finding a way to get through the mess and get into the football is a unique trait that not every guy that plays special teams has. And it'll be fun, working with guys that, you got to have a passion for it as well. So
now for those fans want to get to know you a little bit better off the field, outside of football, what are you doing? What are you doing on the downtime with the family or whatever it may be?
Golf.
Okay. Are you hitting it well, or are you just out there having maybe a beer and relaxing, or are you striking the ball out there?
I'm trying to play.
Okay.
It's snow out here, so I'm looking forward to getting east where there's less snow. But I had a really nice course out here, and I heard there's a lot of nice courses out that way. I usually try to play game day morning. I try to play 18 holes, and 5 weeks get some rounds in. I know Bo Levi is a golfer, and there's a couple guys. Whitey, the long snapper, he's already texted. Apparently, he plays golf. So enjoy golf, and I got a 7-year-old son, so it'll be. We just got a house today, so
nice.
We're moving out that way. Got to get him into school, but he's already picked out his room, so we're excited for this new move.
It's going to be an exciting time, and I'll tell you one thing: when it comes to golf, from what I've heard from the players talking, they're all so competitive. Everyone's talking about who's better than who. Taylor Powell and Bo Levi Mitchell are going at it, and who's a better golfer. So it's nice to see another golfer now getting into the mix. Maybe you can show them a thing or two. We'll see, Coach. But looking ahead now in these next couple of months, what does it look like for you? How busy are you going to be, and what's kind of your process going to be in the next couple months preparing for 2024?
Yeah, so we just flew back from Hamilton a couple days ago. I kind of put some stuff in my office. Just got my new laptop, so I'm gonna start doing just some PowerPoint stuff, working on that, and then I'm gonna go back to Hamilton pretty soon here for a week, and I'm gonna start just working on the first 2 or 3 opponents.
Yeah.
Fortunately, our first game is I've done a lot of battles with Calgary, so it's
Yeah,
a
that's
common
true.
opponent. So kind of have an idea there. I can't remember who our second team is right now off the top of my head, but yeah, I'm just going to start building training camp, which will take quite a bit of time, and try to get that schedule set aside, and then I'm just gonna start reaching out to once free agency's over, maybe touching base with some players, just introducing myself, and just kind of go from there.
Well, it's going to be a busy time for you, Coach. I appreciate you joining me on today's show, and we're looking forward to seeing you come training camp in May. So thanks again, Special Teams Coordinator Paul Boudreau.
All right, thank you.
That was Paul Boudreau. Great to get to chat with him a little bit for the first time. He can join that now heated debate over who's the best golfer for this Ticats team. It's time, though, I throw to my next guest, newly named defensive line coach for the Ticats, Glen Young. All right, my next guest is the defensive line coach for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Glen Young. Coach, thanks for joining me on the show today, and congratulations on the new gig here in the Hammer.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's very exciting. The funny story of it all is it's kind of come full circle. I was drafted by them as a junior at Syracuse in the 3rd round. And when I came back, my mom and dad were in Toronto, so I got my rights traded. So the funny story is it's kind of full circle. I'm probably back where I probably should have began.
You're finally getting your moment with the Ticats just a few years too late, I guess. Or actually not too late, but just in time. But Coach, how does it feel now to be a member of this organization and to be working alongside a guy you know very well in Scott Milanovich?
You know what? It's a classy organization. You know, a lot of people don't realize that it's first class all the way around, starting at the top. You know, Orlando and I go way back. Scott and I know each other well. You know, some of the players there that, you know, I've coached against already. And, you know, it's a sad thing to see they haven't won a cup in quite some time, right? It's kind of the same scenario when I was in Winnipeg. It's about 29 years since they won one. So Hamilton's due. I think it's the right place to be. It's the right organization to be with. The people that are running things, highly intelligent people, understand the game, all have the same goal, you know. So it's going to be very impactful to be in an environment like that.
How did conversations kind of come about for you to jump on ship here? How did that all start?
Just a couple simple conversations with Mark Washington, you know, and then it kind of worked from there, and you know, things were moving in a good direction, and I liked what I heard. Talked to Scott, talked to Mark, a lot of great things. Ironically, I was a linebacker my whole life. I've coached linebackers predominantly in the beginning of my coaching career, but then I've evolved into a D-line coach, which the irony is almost funny to me. It's just I see things from the front back, you know, just because of being a defensive coordinator. So I really enjoy starting things off there, getting things kind of established right from the beginning so that, you know, when the game begins, people know they're going to be in for a dogfight. We're going to have a dogfight up front, and we're going to come out victorious predominantly most of the time. I'm going to predict it because I'm telling you, I'm going to get after those guys, get them better, and make sure that they understand the game the way they need to.
How does it feel from being an Argo for a long time, a coach for the Argos, to now being a member of the Black and Gold? I kind of asked Coach Milanovich this the same, and he laughed a little bit. But how does it feel now to be joining the rival down the QEW?
You know what? It's home now, so I don't look at it as being a rivalry. You know, that's just where home is going to be. My family's excited. I think it's going to be a good perspective from that point of view. And, you know, It's really hard to see them as rivals when you talk to Ed Hervey, you talk to O, you talk to Scott, you talk to Mark. Really one of the better families I've been associated with in the coaching world. They're all good men, good family guys. It's important to everybody to have family around, and that's how you can grow a really good environment with the players as well.
And this is a city that prides itself on how good its defense is. Does that excite you to be playing in front of a fan base that prides themselves on their defense?
100%. That's a place I want to be because I believe defenses win games. I believe
Yeah.
defenses win championships. I believe defenses set tones. We can get off the ball fast in the beginning and knock an offense, off their game initially. We're going to give our offense chances to score, and then they can do what they do, and we'll just keep shutting the team down we're playing. And it's going to be exciting from both ends. People will see a lot of high scoring from us, and they're going to see us shut other people down, and that makes for that's an exciting football game.
Coach, do you have any memories, whether it be as a player or as a coach, playing at Tim Hortons Field or Ivor Wynne back in the day? Or do you have any memories that stand out to you about being in Hamilton and playing in front of the fans here?
Yeah, I ironically, I remember being with the Argos and O'Shea getting booed all the time. That was always the funniest thing. They hated Mike, and it was just funny to be in an environment where he'd walk in, he could care less, and everyone just absolutely hated him. And then he ended up going over there, and I stayed in Toronto. Those are great stories because that's what makes the CFL what it is, right? The fans are totally involved. They're in tune with what's going on. They know the players. They know who to hate, who to love, and if you can get on their good side, then you become endeared to them. And there's nothing more fun to be winning games for people who really care about what they're watching.
And that's definitely a place here. Everyone loves their football. I want to talk about a couple of the guys on this D-line. The first one being Casey Sales, a guy who came in last year and was so dominant for the Ticats on that line. What do you think about him and his game?
I'm looking forward to working with him. I think my biggest coaching philosophy is it doesn't matter what got you where you're at. The reality is you still got to be able to learn and grow. And I think I'm looking forward to seeing what he really can achieve despite what he's already accomplished, right? I mean, that's how you look at guys. You got to look at situations where, yeah, they're good players, great players, they're dominant players, but they can actually be better than what they are. I mean, that's just been proven year in, year out. Even in Winnipeg, when I got Willie from Saskatchewan, Willie had a lot of room to grow, and you can kind of see what he's evolved into. I know Casey came out of that program just after I left, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do with that Clay because he has a lot of potential, a huge upside. He's already starting to figure out who he is as a player in the CFL, and then just some fine-tuning, tweaking, understanding things maybe a little bit more in depth. And even some technical things that I can teach him that maybe put some one step closer to making even better plays.
Yeah, and that would be a scary sight to see him even better. Another guy who just re-signed today, Canadian Mason Bennett. What do you see from him, and is it nice to see him now re-signed here with the Cats for next season?
Yeah, a lot of tools. There's going to be a lot of fun up front, I believe. We were looking at him when I was in Winnipeg, obviously when he was coming out of North Dakota. So he's a kid that I know is starting to kind of keep his feelers going in a direction as learning about the CFL because it's a different game. It doesn't matter coming from the college ranks. It doesn't matter playing in the NFL if it's a couple seasons. It's a different animal. You have to adjust. You have to understand how to get off the ball. You have to understand how to attack the offense and protections because, college players don't really get a lot of teaching on protections. There's limited, practices, limited meetings. They have classes. You get to the pro level, now you're going to learn some in-depth analysis of protections and run game and how to fit, technical stuff that you probably weren't taught because of the limited time you've had in college. So I just look at him as a kid that is so much upside that I'm looking forward to seeing what we can truly get out of him as an athlete, right? Because everyone's a great athlete. Your athletic ability got you in the league ultimately, but how long can you sustain your career? It's going to come down to your technique. It's going to come down to understanding the game of football, how to attack things, how to beat a block when you see it in front of your face. Even if we call some kind of a pressure and then you get a different kind of blocking scheme we anticipate, there's still a way to beat that protection in your position to be able to be effective. So that's kind of the nuances of being a professional athlete. It's going deeper into understanding that you're not just an athlete. You're basically a guy that is going to kind of coordinate your brain with your body. And once you do that, you can really be one of those intimidating factors we need up front, because that's what we need. 4 guys that are
Yeah.
very intimidating. You're going to be afraid to play us. We're going to move around. We're going to get after you. We're going to get off the ball. We're going to do some things that are going to keep offensive linemen on their heels, really, because if we can get them on their heels, they're going to be in trouble. They won't be able to pass things off. They're going to get bowled over. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to getting to these guys and really starting to mold them into something that they can really be proud of.
Getting me excited just talking about it here, Coach. Now, off the field, for the fans, what do you like to do outside of the game of football for fans trying to get to know you? What's the hobbies for you, Coach?
Oh gosh, I got a few. I'm a big movie buff. My wife and
Okay.
I, we like to go to the movies. They haven't come out with like really good movies lately. Like Lord of the Rings is like a huge movie for me.
It's a classic.
I'm into the Chosen right now. We're in season 4. They just came out with the first 3 episodes. My
Yep.
wife and I actually just saw it on our anniversary on Monday, and she didn't know, so I kind of surprised her with it, and she was thrilled when we did it, and it was really, really powerful.
Yeah.
I love aquariums and tropical fish. I'll probably have one in my office of some sort. I love golf. The game of golf is something
Yep.
that I passionately try to perfect. I mean, because I'm an OCD person. I
Not
love
easy.
to like figure things out, and that's one of the things that's been an enigma for quite some time in my life. But I'm actually getting to where, I got game. So
You got some game now,
I
Coach?
got some game.
You need to teach me some stuff because
I
I've been
can-
trying for 15 years and I still don't have game.
That's the beautiful thing about golf for me. The older I get, the more I realize my brain really it's good at deciphering and figuring out. So I've worked with my daughter a little bit, helping her out, but I have figured out some things, and I love teaching what I know. So it's a really good combination. So anything you need to know, I'm available.
Well, I might have to come to you for some golf tips, Coach. This next couple months are going to be busy, but what does it look like for you now and getting prepared for this season?
Just getting up to speed on the playbook, making some adjustments, changes, understanding Mark and his thought processes and his thinking, and trying to mesh some ideas I have, and then trying to gel that with the players. Eventually, we'll get that all together, and that's what's going to be the most fun of it all is really getting that paper live action out on the field and tweaking things and seeing what works, what doesn't work, what you want to throw out, that the experiment you worked on in the lab, and then you say,
Yeah.
maybe it's not as good as we think. But maybe something happens. And a lot of things actually in practice happen accidentally that actually evolve into something that you run. A guy screws it up and you go, you know what? I actually like the way he screwed it up better than the way we drew it up. So those are the things that'll be going on. Just really getting to understand Mark's mindset, and him understanding me, where I'm coming from and what I've evolved and grown. And there's some innovative things that I've worked on, especially in Winnipeg when I was the front 7 guy. So I had to basically coach the D-line and linebackers at the same time, which is not the easiest thing to do. So there's some adaptations I had to do in my coaching, teaching. I had to be able to incorporate everybody in individual. It's still the same 15-minute period. I didn't get half an hour because I was coaching 2 positions. It's still got the same 15 minutes that I had to figure out how to get everyone on the same page, doing the same things, with the same understanding, same technical aspects of it from a 2-point, 3-point stance. So there's some nuances there, but it's going to be fun to work with the D-line. It still makes me laugh how I thoroughly enjoy the D-line. I really love working with those guys because they really are the guys that make the difference. If you can get those guys start to finish 60 full minutes of just getting after people, you really will see an exciting brand of football in the defense.
Well, I'm sure Ticats fans are excited to see it. I know I'm excited to see it. So, Coach, I appreciate you joining me today. I'll probably be stopping by your office come summertime for a few tips on my swing because it looks awful every summer. But once again, Coach Glen Young, appreciate you joining me today, man.
I appreciate it. It's wonderful. I look forward to seeing you more and more.